this was a cold case for about 7 years. And recently, we got the details and a conviction in a horrible, very sad story that I think it's important to share, even though it includes some of my least favorite things to talk about, like money, greed, drugs, and the need for showing success, economically speaking. Kind of the opposite, actually. Well, Lorenzen Wright was born on November 4th, 1975, and he was raised in Oxford, Mississippi. While there, he played for Lafayette High School, but then moved to Memphis and played his senior year for Booker T. Washington High School. In Memphis, he not only played school but also college and professional basketball. His dad was also a basketball player to a different degree, but Herb, that's his dad's name, was shot in the back and paralyzed while working for the Memphis Police Department. If you know who Lorenzen Wright was, maybe the brief recap that I'm gonna make here, it is not going to do justice for the kind of athlete that he was. But if you don't know, I'll give you some things that you should keep in mind as we go through this case. In 1996, he was selected 7th in the draft, and he was selected by the LA Clippers. In 1999, he moved to the Atlanta Hawks, then traded to the Memphis Grizzlies in 2001, but returned to the Hawks in 2006. In 2008, he was involved in a multiplayer trade from Atlanta to Sacramento. He was a prodigy. He was one of the best. And his career, according to my research, averages of 8.0 points and 6.4 rebounds per game. And this spoke for him. He ended up playing 778 games for the NBA in over 13 seasons. That is excluding the playoffs. So reassess their home in Atlanta. Money was owed everywhere and not enough money in the bank to pay for these debts. On top of that, they needed to raise their 6 children. In February of 2010, the marriage was pretty much over. They separated and got back together several times. But after 13 years of marriage, they decided to file for divorce. If you thought that this was going to fix, or if they thought that, they really got it all wrong. Money problems got worse. Not enough money for child support or alimony. And at that point, things got out of control. And Sarah now started sharing that he was a ladies' man with multiple affairs. And she started reporting how he was abusive towards her and also towards the children. She also claimed that he had business dealings with people with ties in the drug business, I guess. But that he wasn't directly involved. So, even though she claimed all this, there was no record of him doing anything illegal. Now, on Sunday, July 18th, 2010, Lorenzen was visiting Memphis. He lived in Atlanta, but he was going to watch his son's game, basketball game. And later on, he went and visited his ex-wife's house, kind of visiting with all the children. She lived in Collierville, Tennessee. Sarah later will tell the police that he visited and then left with another person that she did not know, and that they left in a car she also didn't know. She remembered, according to Sarah, that Lorenzen was carrying a box full of drugs and had quite a bit of cash with him. Later, she said that wasn't true about the drugs. So she recanted this story. Now, what happened after he left with this person, allegedly? Well, shortly after midnight, so it was already July 19th, Lorenzen called 911 and spoke to a dispatcher in Germantown, Tennessee. He was scared. He was hard to understand. Didn't know exactly where he was. Then you can clearly hear, "Gee, damn." And of course the whole thing, that's me trying to keep it PG, even though it's not. Gunshots were heard days later, Lorenzen's mother reported him missing. She talked to Tara and the rest of the family, and nobody had seen him in about 3 days. So, the police started an investigation and interviewed the last people he had contact with before disappearing. The ex-wife, Shara, was a key witness, according to the police. They got a warrant and searched her home, but found nothing to charge her. On July 28th, Lorenzen's body was found in a remote area near TBC Southwind Golf Course. His body was pretty messed up, for lack of a better term. He weighed 260 pounds and was exposed to intense heat, rain, and animals. So now his body was only 57 pounds. Based in part on shell casings recovered from the scene, police determined 2 different guns were used. They fired between 9 and 11 bullets. Lorenzen died instantly. He was shot twice in the head, twice in the heart, and once in the forearm. If you're wondering why it took them 3 days to find his body, and the horrible conditions of the body, it's because the 911 dispatcher never mentioned this crucial call, in my opinion. She should have reported this to her supervisor, but she never did, or he never did. I don't know why. I think it was assumed in the article it was a girl. Now, that cost them, FYI, they lost in court a lot of money because of this mistake. Now, our son 7 years. I mean, what happened? Who killed him? They had nothing to go from. It was a dead end. But the police knew that Jera didn't look so innocent either. She received $1 million for insurance money after Lorenzen's death. This was a condition of the divorce settlement, and it was meant to be for the kids. It was paid to Shara, who was supposed to be the administrator of this money for her kids. And she got paid a year after Lorenzen's death. The police their hands were tied, but they could see the signs. Within 6 months of getting this money, was supposed to be kept for the kids, Jera bought a home, expensive furniture, luxurious things for the house, luxury cars, vacations. And after 6 months, all she had left from that $1 million was $5. Now, there was also a pension. According to what I read, if you play for over 3 seasons for the NBA, when you die, your kids get a pension, which is a lump sum, I'm assuming, but maybe it's monthly payments. He got $184,000. Now, Lorenzen's dad, Herb, sued Jera. He was so worried about the kids getting nothing after she was done with this too. So the court ordered a trust to be created, and even though this was created, it wasn't good. Jera failed to provide accounting statements to the court. She ended up withdrawing from keeping control over the fund, and Grandpa Herb, Lorenzen's dad, was in charge of that now. It was mentioned that they got an agreement out of court. Now let's talk about Jera and why everything that she did was raising a red flag to the police. Around this time, she became active at her local church, Missionary Baptist Church. She was ordained a minister, got married to a local sheriff's deputy, Reginald Robinson. She also wrote a book who was supposed to be fictional, Mr. Tell Me Anything. And it was about a world very similar to hers. A woman married a basketball star. He was unfaithful. He was abusive. Again, a lot of what she was claiming that she went through in her marriage. Then she moved to Texas with a new boyfriend, Kelvin Cohen's. At that point, she decided to sue Grandpa Irv, the Lorenzen's dad, and the one that was in charge of this trust fund for the kids, because she was entitled to that money. Because when Lorenzen was alive, he was behind in child support, even though she already got $1 million that was supposed to be specifically as a child support kind of thing in case he died. The court rejected her petition. This was already discussed, and they already made the decision that she was not entitled to it. She appealed, but the same thing happened. That same year, she relocated to Southern California. She got married to Tim Robertson, who worked for a record label and lived at one point in Memphis. Now this is when things started to shape. On November 10th, 2017, a gun was recovered from a lake in Walnut, Mississippi, which is this lake is a 45-minute drive from Shara's former home in Collierville, Tennessee. It was matched as one of the murder weapons immediately. They also, right after finding this gun, they arrested Billy Ray Turner, who was 48 years old at the time, and a church deacon and landscaper with a criminal record. 3 days later, Shara was arrested on murder charges. Shara and Billy Ray Turner knew each other. The police knew at this point that they conspired in 2 occasions, one in Atlanta and failed, and the second one successfully ending her ex-husband's life. A third person was involved though, and I'm assuming that it was thanks to him that this started to shape up. His name is Jimmy Martin, who was already in jail for another murder. He was the one who revealed to the police where the gun was. In the end, Billy Ray Turner pled guilty to a gun charge as part of a plea deal. As of July 25th, 2019, Shara pled guilty to the charge of facilitating murder in the first degree. She did this as a part of a plea deal that avoids going to trial and face life in prison. She served over 500 days already. So all in all, she's facing about 7 years before she can be released on parole. Now this is the scariest part. If you thought that the killing, the only 57 pounds found of his body was scary, this is the worst in my head. And this is not judging Shara when she was interviewed, she blamed her lifestyle. She said that she was pulled into this lifestyle that she was living. It was all about money, murder, death, wickedness, evil, and lies. She keeps saying that she's innocent, but she also says that she and the family covered up too much for him. And because of that, she was pushed to a position to feel forced to do this. So, on one side, she's saying that she's innocent, and on the other side, she's telling people that because she was pushed into this lifestyle and forced into this lifestyle, she was put in a position where she had to do this. Well, I am so sorry, but those are the scariest words I read this week. And I've been reading about a bunch of new cases that are scary. What she just said means she's not taking responsibility for her actions, which means that she justified, and this is my personal opinion, she's justified what she did, whatever kind of involvement she had in the murder of her ex-husband. She's not taking responsibility for it, and she felt like she did what she had to do. Oh my gosh. I mean, she's going to be released in 7 years. What if she's pushed into another situation where she needs to choose to do this? I mean, it's almost like she's not accepting this was bad. I shouldn't have done it. Whatever involvement I had in this, I shouldn't have done it. This is not what I want my kids to go through. I don't want my kids to make the same decisions or feel obligated as I felt. No, it's almost like by that statement, excusing what she did under the premises that she was pushed into a lifestyle where she felt like she had to do it. I wish I could finish this case with a better statement. I wish I could have finished this saying, yeah, it was the lifestyle, but I made a mistake. I did a horrible thing, and I regret it so much. I wish she would say something like that, but she didn't. And again, I am not judging her for the way that she expresses herself, but to me, that's one of the scariest things. Doing something horrible and then explaining yourself like, well, I had to. What if in 7 years you have to? What if you're quote unquote pushed into a lifestyle that, oh my gosh. I think one of the very first things we, with my husband, kind of didn't agree on when we started raising our family is I would tell my kids exit when I got home. But having that opportunity to understand that we all make mistakes and that it's not a big deal. But in the end, when we make those big mistakes, I think it's easier to learn from them when we have the ability to understand that we made a mistake. I think that when we try to hide what we did, it's almost like we're excusing ourselves. And we're also kind of accepting that making mistakes, it's bad, bad, bad. People in this world is perfect. I mean, how can you make a mistake and be dumb when everyone else is perfect? That's the kind of message we are spreading when we are condemning a simple mistake, because next time, instead of taking responsibility, we will find somebody feeling ashamed and hiding what they did. And I mean, I'm trying to share with you why for me this is so scary. And I understand that what she did or whoever did or what they did, it's way worse than anything that you can do as a kid in your house, or any mistake that you can make, or innocent mistake, or a naive mistake. But listen, if we don't want to repeat history, if we don't want to continue to be the person or a specific behavior, we must take responsibility and teach our kids, teach the younger generation, the teenagers growing up, that it's important to understand that mistakes can be made. Bad decisions, wow, those are very, very common. But if you can learn from mistakes, smaller mistakes, as a child, as a teenager, then it's easier to take responsibility for future mistakes and maybe avoid them in the future by knowing that's not okay, and that you have a choice to either continue indulging in that or say, no, I don't want to do this. There's always another way. And if it sounds too good to be true, it probably is. I hate these cases about money. I hate the subject of money and power, and not the case in particular, because these are humans and this is real people that we talk about here. These are real families that today are probably having breakfast while I record this. Going to school, going to work. This is real people that today, like I am, they're in this world trying to move on or move forward. But that is why I am so against, the whole richness and greed and money, and I don't know. I just feel like in the wrong hands can do a lot of damage. And in some cases, money does a whole lot of good. But in more cases than not, it can change somebody into, like Shara in her case, she thought she was changed into a lifestyle, pushed into doing stuff that she shouldn't have done. to say no. When somebody offers you something you don't want to do, a drug, alcohol, something illegal, you have the power to say no. And goodness gracious, it feels good. At the moment, you can feel a little dumb, but then you feel good. Because most people would have said yes, and you said no. So such a horrible ending to such a... what could have been a wonderful life for him and his family. Now there's the vision, now there's she said, he said. Now, according to Shara, she didn't want to go to court, not because she was facing life in prison, but because her lawyer was going to tarnish the image of her ex-husband. And to be honest, I don't buy it. I am sure that she could have said a lot of things that would make him look bad. But I think in the end, our self-preservation instinct kicks in, and we want to make sure that we can get the best scenario out of the worst case scenarios. Again, those are my thoughts. If you're watching this on YouTube, I'd like to know what you think about it. Do you think that what she said is what it is? Do you think that people that live their lifestyle must change, must be different, must follow a certain rule or set of rules? Or do you think, like, goodness, this is scary, she's not taking responsibility? It kind of reminded me the part of the case, the Watts case, Shanann and Chris, where Chris said that he felt trapped, that he had to do it. When he snapped, whatever. And there's always a different thing that you can do. He could have, as I mentioned on that video, Google a job on the East Coast. Google a job in Antarctica, in China, South America. Just leave. Go. It sounds terrible, but in the end, if your true intentions is to fix your problem but getting rid of people, newsflash, that's not the answer. So find a different way. It hurts me when I hear people saying that was the only thing I could do. No. You thought that was the only thing that you could do. But there's a lot more that you could have done. It doesn't matter if you ruin your credit. It doesn't matter if you end up living in an apartment. It doesn't matter if... But if those things do matter to you, then that's when you start thinking about this kind of solutions that really create more problems than solutions. I'd like to know what you think about this case. If you are in the podcast part of this true crime story, please feel free to go to the page themysterytheory.lisbon.com. Again, themysterytheory.lisbon.com.